Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our Purity series. The topic for today is the experience of an angel. Our guest speaker for today is Rita Cleary. Rita has been a student of the Brahma Kumaris for the last 35 years. She serves as the coordinator of the New England Brahma Kumaris Meditation Center. She served as the founder of the Visions of a Better World Foundation and the Learning Circle, a management consulting company whose focus was on organizational learning. Rita has a love of lifelong learning. She seeks to understand the importance of living life with the original spiritual values that are inherent with all human beings. And our moderator for today is Philippa Blackham. Philippa is a journalist and a radio presenter, having worked for BBC Radio in the UK for many years, including 7 years as one of the Voice of Women's Hour. She's now the coordinator of a national project, 100 Women of Spirit, which recognizes the spiritual contribution to society made by women. She is an ordained interfaith minister and has studied Raj Yoga meditation with the Brahma Kumaris for more than 40 years. Now, I invite Sister Ranjan to welcome our guests.
Hello, Sister Rita. Hello, Sister Philippa. Welcome to both of you on these special days, auspicious days where we have gathered here at our retreat place in Tapasya Dham in Dallas. And it's a big gathering here to welcome you all. So thank you for joining with us. And we are very eager to hear from both of you about angels, right? Thank you, Sister Rita. Thank you, Philippa Ben.
Yeah. Thank you, Ranjan Ben, and a lovely warm welcome to everyone who's gathered in Tapasya Dham. It is indeed a special weekend as we remember the angel known as Brahma Baba, who reached a perfect form on the 18th of January 1969. So I think the angels are going to be with us, Rita, as we talk, definitely on all multidimensional levels. Welcome to you, Rita.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's really lovely to be here. I was honored to be invited to come on and to join you, and looking forward to our conversation.
I can only imagine that you were asked to be the speaker for today because people see you as an angel in the work that you've done, in the life that you have led. So I'm really curious to find out more about your experience and your life story, because I think you've really had to become the angel in order to do what you do. So, really looking forward to our conversation. Maybe we could just begin with you sharing with us what you knew about angels or how you thought about angels before you started studying with the Brahma Kumaris, because different cultures think about angels in different ways. And it would be lovely to hear how you were raised to think about angels.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can only speak from my background, which happened to be that I was raised in the Christian tradition, and that in that tradition, there's so many stories of the angels, and it was interesting for me because as a young child, I had an experience of my mother, who was not well. She was the first person in the United States to ever have open heart surgery. And then when, after being in the hospital for a couple of months, when she came home, and I think I wasn't more than 10 at the time, my sister and I became her nurses. So we spent a lot of time with her, and I actually witnessed what it was like to know an angel. She never, ever complained. She only had good wishes, pure feelings for whoever came in the door. And, it was just an absolutely amazing, amazing thing. in my life that introduced me to it. But, in addition to that, with all of the prayers and the praying that I was doing at that time, I also felt like I had had exposure to the angels helping me, helping me through it all.
So that was quite a natural experience for you to feel angelic support, given the role that you were playing at quite a young age. Were you quite young?
Yes, as I just mentioned, I think I was about 10,
Yeah.
10 years, yeah, at that time. And, and that went on until, I was about 20-ish. So that was, I can't remember what year it was exactly that she
Yeah.
left. Yeah, but yeah, it was really something.
And how did you experience that angelic support? How did it come through to you?
Well, it's interesting. I felt like the angel, I sort of intuitively knew that the angel had some kind of a relationship with the source, with God at that point, I felt. And I felt they were messengers. And so, I would listen. And I at first I thought um immediately that it was God that was giving me the message of what I needed to do next. But then I really came to understand I actually had visions of angels, that I would see the angels. And as I was going to sleep or as I was waking up, I would see this light body, and so I began to just recognize, that when they were with me, that all I needed to do was listen, you know, listen to the thought, because it wasn't words. It was just listening to the thought. And I think as a result of that, part of my personality today has to do with, I'm intuitive. So because I sort of I feel like I hear what I need to do next, and so that's been very interesting part of my life, actually.
So that experience has very much become part of your whole worldview and how you operate. And I think when you have such a powerful experience at a tender age, it definitely does shape your worldview. So how did your understanding of angels change after your encounter with the Brahma Kumaris?
Oh my, this was a big change. It was a big change because what happened is, when I came into the knowledge in the late 80s. And it was so interesting because what happened was I had been searching and searching and searching to find what I would consider to be God. But I wanted to understand, if there was a God, why is this world so painful and sorrowful for so many people? I didn't understand it. So when I came to the Brahma Kumaris and took the lessons, I took the Raj. I didn't take the Raja Yoga lessons formally. Um, Sister Sharona, who's based in Israel now, was the one who came to my home with a professor from one of the universities here in Boston, because he used to be part of a small group with me that we were all searching for God, and we were trying to understand all these different things. So he brought her to me. And then when it was, I felt like God came and knocked on my door. Talk about a blessing. So what happened is that as soon as I heard the knowledge that each of us have three forms, that we have the form of the physical body, we have the form of the the subtle angel, and of course the point of light that is the soul. I immediately recognized it as truth, immediately, and have had a number of experiences with that form over the many years of being with the organization.
So I wonder whether you had an experience of the sort of the subtle angelic Brahma, as we refer to him as the founder of the Brahma Kumaris, who, according to our understanding, reached a perfect form and became an angel, a human being who became an angel. Did you connect with that form initially, or was it more through the senior sisters, the dadis, as we call them, who you spent a lot of time with and became quite close with? Was it the physical daddies, the sisters, or was it the angelic Brahma that you were first having an experience of?
Well, quite honestly, probably the first 3 years of my Brahmin life, I was so excited to finally find Shiv Baba, the point of light, and to understand that God had come, into this earth to share this incredible knowledge with us, that I put my full attention on that. And of course, he's, mentioned in every Murli, and I sort of looked at him and I said, look, I'll get to know you in a little while, but right now I'm celebrating that I have found God. And I did. And then finally one day I can remember that I turned to his picture. I was sitting, I think, in Madhuban, and I said, so okay, now, what about you? Who are you? And so slowly, I began to develop a trust in this beautiful personality that I was learning about, both from him, from the Murlis, listening when Shiv Baba would speak of Brahma Baba in the Murli. But most importantly, there was a time again when I was in India. And these again, it was in my, for within the first 5 to 10 years of being with the organization. And I was sitting in the main hall in India, and all of a sudden, and Dottie, the senior sisters of Dottie Janki and Didi Sudesh, who's in Germany, and then Dottie, of course, was in London, but here she used to, I used to spend a lot of time with her from the beginning. She was the one that told me this was not my first time in being a Brahmin. She told me I've been that more than one time, which was interesting. I forgot to mention that to you at one point. And so anyway, I would go in the hall in India for morning meditation, our 4 a.m. meditation. And I'd always go down to the front, and I would sit like in the front row because I didn't want to miss a second. And I always thought it was going to be my only trip and I may not be able to get back to India. So um, what she and Didi Sudesh did was, one morning I went in and I was sitting, and they were giving drishti, which means that through the eyes, they were giving their experience to those of us who are newer and that were just learning. And what happened is I felt that this subtle body, separating almost from the physical. The physical was sitting on the bench, and the light body started to rise and to go above and to go above and to go above. And I felt like I was going beyond the building where I was sitting, almost like beyond the earth and the sky, beyond the moon and the stars, and then finally being in this subtle region of pure white light. And in that moment in time, I could see this image of Brahma Baba in his angelic form. And yes, so I did have that experience with him. And should I go a little more and talk a little?
Yeah, because because I think for a lot of people, they experience that dimension in their meditation, but there's an element of consciously creating that experience. Whereas you actually felt yourself going into that experience without necessarily consciously creating it, and even having a conversation with angelic Brahma at that moment. Tell us how that happened.
Well, what happened, which was really, and you're right, I wasn't trying to do this. It just it just happened. And I found myself there, and I saw that he was not alone, that there were other angels that were there. And uh, he said to me, "Come, child, we'll fly." And and I responded, you'd have to understand, I'm really very natural in a lot of ways, but I said to him, I said, well, I'm not sure I can do that because I don't do so well with heights. And I could see down, and it was, I could see that we were on the edge of the world, and that I could see down, and that it was like an open space with stars, and it was dark, and I wasn't sure I wanted to do that. And he said to me, he said, well, you go behind me. So I go behind him. And then he said to me, you hold my wings. So I held his wings. And what happened was he took me in this experience, again, this is experiential that's happening. He took me and he flew around the world. We went around the world giving drishti, and then we came back to this space in the subtle region, and I was standing, and I looked at him, and I just, my eyes were almost like, "Wow, I just don't believe what's just happened." So what was so interesting was, and of course the Dottie and Dee Dee, they were there with us, and so I didn't say anything to anyone because I couldn't believe what just had happened. I just stayed quiet in myself with it, trying to grasp what this Baba is giving me this experience for some reason. Maybe it was for today, so I could share it with you. I don't know. But what he did was, not what he did, what happened is, so the next morning, I went back, and again I went down to the front of the hall. I was sitting right in the front, and again, Dee Dee and Dottie are on the stage, and again they take me, and what they do, they take me up like hand in hand, one hand after another, that I'm going up in this angelic body, and again same thing happens, and it happened for 3 days in a row, and I was so I was so, it's hard to put it in words. I was so touched uh, to have been blessed with this experience, because from there, what I learned to do is that I learned to use that angelic stage every day on my own without their support of taking me up. And especially in early morning Amit Vela. And then, of course, in 7 o'clock evening meditation, we're serving the world. And, as an angel, what we're doing is we're just uh, um, being present, being a messenger, but not speaking necessarily to those that are needing help. And so, for the remainder of my years in Guyana, I've been practicing this and doing this till
Yeah.
today. I'm still doing.
So you haven't had a kind of experience like those 3 days again, but in your meditation, because of those experiences, you're able to really connect with your angelic form and serve the world through your vibrations. Can you just elaborate on that a little? Because for some people, it may seem, a bit of a stretch to understand this notion that we have an angelic presence in this region of light. And I've always understood it to be like a separate body of light that is different from my physical body. And of course, my physical body has subtle dimensions to it, but not necessarily the angelic form. How do you understand that? Because it sounded almost like you went in your energetic body of this physical dimension into that dimension of light. And yet, is there not an angelic version of yourself already there and there all the time?
Yes.
How do you see that?
See, what I believe is, what I've come to know over the years, or come to feel I know over the years, is that we all have this body, but we're not aware of it. So that presence that's there, we're not aware, but the moment we get an experience that gives us the awareness of it, um, then it becomes, you begin to understand it, and you see that just as Baba has said in the Murli so many times, that we're not just in the limited form, we have unlimited form, right? And the unlimited form is the light body that has nothing weighing us down. There's nothing to do with matter in that body. It's strictly light. And so again, with what happens as we become more and more aware of it, we can get into that form, even when others are struggling, and we want to be able to somehow help them, because we're serving as angels, we're messengers as angels, we're messengers of peace. We can bring that peace to the souls who are in the really hard times, and so I don't know if that's answers your question, but
Yeah, it does. And what I'm picking up from you is a sense in which the more you connect with that body of light, you draw it down and it almost infuses your physical body to the point where your physical experience almost becomes subtle and angelic, and the distance between those two dimensions becomes less.
yeah, well, it's interesting to me because I feel that we have it above, right? The subtle body, but just like the soul. When we think of the soul, do you feel that we have the soul with us? It sits in the center of the forehead. Well, the angelic body to me, it sort of surrounds the physical body. So it's always here, just like the soul is always here, but we're just not aware of it, And so when um, when we finally, either through a Murli, because there's times that Baba gives a lot of specifics about that angelic body, that we can move in, we can again, in our shift of consciousness to an angelic consciousness, and then we begin to experience. So first we have to be soul conscious, we have to be connected to Baba, and then we begin to have the experiences of it.
So the Murli being the morning teaching, which we call the Murli, and Baba is the word that we use as a kind of an intimate word to refer to the divine, who is not just something and someone out there, but very, very close and intimate with us. I'm curious about your life now, because you have responsibility for the center in Boston, along with a brother who lives there.
That's right.
In the center. And that's quite unusual for someone to be living outside of the center. And not just that, but you're living in a busy household. And throughout these years, you've raised children, you've raised your granddaughter, you couldn't have been more hands-on in this physical incarnation. And it's very, very intriguing for me that, you've somehow combined this very practical, hands-on householder life with all these angelic experiences, and at the same time taken responsibility for the center. Can you tell me how that came about?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I truly, I'm not sure if I know anyone else who's done this. All right. But what happened, as the Murli are the teachings that we receive every day, as you said. And in that Murli, when I was really brand new in this, I heard this Murli, and in the Murli, the word said, this is the time when the impossible becomes possible. You can stay in your household, you can stay in the world, because I was a businesswoman, remember, and you can do this. And I said to myself, well, I said, well, if this is really the source, and the source is saying that I can do this, then why don't I try and see what happens? So, it's really interesting because even today, I mean, I live with my husband. My husband is not a Brahmin. The people that I worked with, um, were over at MIT and places like that, and some of them were spiritual seekers, some of them were not. And so, it was really interesting because in that everything sort of somehow magically came together. Um, it took a little time, took adjustment here in the household, both from the kids and from my husband, that everybody was opposed and blah, blah, blah. And and all I did was to say, to this divine source, I said, you've got to help me with this because I don't know what to do about this. And then uh, here in the United States, Didi Mohini, Sister Mohini, was the one in charge. And she came and she helped me. She actually showed me what I could do in order to make sure that I could, purify, make sure that my diet was proper and I was eating properly and nothing was mixed and this, that, and the other. She came to the house and she gave me complete instructions on how to do that. And so step by step, and this is me, I said to myself, well, maybe I'll just be a silver agent soul, which means, and then, because we have this cycle of time that have different ages, and they say, that when you come back. But the truth of the matter is I never felt it to stress me out. And I did what I could do. And when I couldn't do it, I had to do what I had to do in order to go a next step so that I could eventually learn to follow the directions that would help me, allow me, to become one who could sort of get it all, bring it all into balance
Mm.
and live with openness and honesty, no matter where I was. So it was quite a journey. But
Did you ever contemplate, finding other people to take care of the household duties and going and living a completely focused spiritual life just in the center?
Well, no, not at the center. I had actually at one point I wanted to be a cloistered nun, if you can believe it. I had so much love for God, and the priest just turned me down. And so I went out and I got married and I had all this stuff. So no, I never thought of that because again, what I said, I thought that perhaps um, my husband would make that choice to go, but where he made a choice that to stay, and that family came first, and yes, so it never entered my mind that I should leave. Although at one point I was asked to go to Washington to start a center there, and maybe that was the time that I actually realized that I had made a choice that I wasn't going to go. I was going to stay.
You were going to be in the home. And
Yeah.
how have you woven these two life strands together? And have you ever felt like you were two people running two parallel lives? Or have you managed to integrate that into really one way of being?
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, I feel that in the beginning of it, I wasn't sure. Like I wasn't sure how I was going to do all of this and was I going to be able to integrate it. But yet I kept going back to that quote from one of the Murleys,
Mm,
this
mm.
is the time. So I trusted. I put my complete trust in God and said, I really want to be here, and I really want to do this. Help me. Help me have the strength to do this. But what happened is as I began the practice of the yoga, and started, taking on the powers that we're taught about, the power to tolerate, the power to face, the power to merge, and the virtues, the honesty, really being forthright in saying what needed to be said, and going beyond my own fear of being, not being able to do or not being able to serve family. So one of the things that as soon as I learned that this is the home was the place where I would start my service. I would start serving here. And so now, I just have such an attitude of gratitude how it all happened naturally. And I live about 20 plus miles from the center, but I was driving to the center every day for class in the morning, and then when I was asked to be the coordinator, I said, "Oh my, how's this going to work? This is really a step beyond. I'm not sure." And yet I felt I was I I wanted to work, especially with all the Western souls that were coming in Boston. And I had no questions when I came to Baba. I knew from the moment I heard the knowledge that this was truth. And I had looked for it forever. I'm sure I looked for it in previous births too, you know. So it was just making the commitment and finding courage to stick with it.
For some people listening to this, it's going to be very inspiring and encouraging that you've been able to live your meditation life in the household and be running, supervising, coordinating the center from your home. Has everyone else been kind of accepting of that, or has there been pushback because you've gone against the trend of what is normally considered to be the life of someone who is coordinating a center? How have other people been towards you?
You mean other people in Brahmin life?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't feel I've ever had a problem. And if they're pushing back, I didn't realize it.
Yeah.
Because I've never felt that way at all. As a matter of fact, I felt supported, and loved. Lots, a lot, but Boston has been. I mean, it's a wonderful center. We don't have a lot of that, in the center. Of course, there's an occasions when something will happen or whatever, of course, but we try to make big things small, and I think the reason that that's been possible is because first of all, we work, Brother Dev and I work together, right? And so we've been together for over 20 years as co-coordinators, and because when Sister Mohini had asked me to step into that role of coordination at the center, I felt that because I couldn't be there, that could cause a problem. And what might work is if we could find someone that I could work with. So he was very young at the time, and he was very wonderful. And he came, and as he grew, it was wonderful because as he grew, I got older, and and so there was this. Uh, and the family, we because of my work in management science, many years ago, learning about teams and teamwork and all of that, what I did is I fostered the creation of teams. So the center is, I don't do anything at the center. All I do is show up, and the teams do it all. And it's sort of magical. I hope that answers the question.
It does answer your question, and it does sound magical. Would you ever say that it's because you've been having to take a view that encompasses both the physical home and the spiritual center, that has almost helped create the Rita that you are today? It's somehow taught you lessons or has made you really learn what it means to value your spiritual life. Because in a center, sometimes people can get a bit complacent, take things for granted. It all seems to be, laid on, whereas you've had to really consciously make it work. Do you think that has created who you are and changed who you are?
Well, but you have to remember there's a missing piece that we haven't shared. So I was almost 50 when I came into the center, when I came into Guyane,
Right.
right? So a lot of the coordinators are younger,
Yeah.
and I had so much experience in
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah.
From the time I was a child, I was always had responsibility and always had like family, and then putting together these businesses and running the Visions of the Better World Foundation, which I did, which was part for 20 years, and I never considered any of what I did to be difficult. I just did what I needed to do in order to try to bring success to the teams that were working in whatever it was we were co-creating. And so, at the center, because I had that maturity, I think that's what made it easy.
Mm.
Because, and the other thing is that Sharona gave me such a strong, she accepted me with open arms. She used to treat me like I was a VIP or something, which when I think of it now, she's a wonder, she's an absolute wonder, but she always um, was there for me in the beginning of this. And so the combination of my age and coming in, the experiences I had in life up to that point, my love of God, my understanding of truth, and my a pure desire to serve, I think made it all work.
Mm. You talked in the beginning about how you felt there was angelic support for you when you were caring for your mum. How has your experience with that angelic support matured into what you experience today? And do you think it was the angel Brahma that was helping you back then? And how does that angelic support show up in your life now?
Well, let me tell you, there was one time in my life that was a really difficult time when I was a young mother. And really, I really became depressed. And when I became depressed, I was thinking that maybe I couldn't make it in life, that it was just too hard. And I can remember walking down on the Charles River here in Boston. And by myself, I was walking. And I was thinking of that maybe it was time that I should just give up, just give it all up. And what happened was I'm going to have tears to remember this, but there was this man who showed up when I was walking, and he was walking, and he said to me, "Are you okay?" And the tears just started to stream. He walked with me for hours, and we just walked. He didn't ask questions. We just walked. And when I look back on that experience, I felt it was Brahma Baba, who was with me. And I didn't know that at the time. I didn't understand it, but it was a definite angel that was right by my side, and that gave me the strength to take my next steps, that eventually led me back to God, that eventually led me, I was able to find what would give me the peace and solace that I needed in my life, to not only to continue but to learn to fly.
Mm-hmm. That's such a beautiful story. It reminds me a little bit of the story of the footprints in the sand, when at the end of life, and you know, you're reviewing, and it's like, why is it that at my most difficult times there's only one set of footprints? And God says, well, that was when I was carrying you.
I remember that prayer. Yeah.
It's very touching, and it's very real, and it's amazingly comforting to feel that that angelic presence and angelic support is there for you whenever you call on it, whenever you need that. It's there for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like I mean, this is what is an angel? You know, an angel is an enlightened being, right? Who is a messenger of God and who is there to help us in time of need. You know, and then to recognize that it's not only about, you know, us wanting to have the angel, you know, there for ourselves, but how do we become angel-like in order to be there for others and to have that kind of presence that they know when they're in your presence that they can trust and have you know, I mean, there's different ways you can work it on a subtle level of being that angel, but also, you know, when we're living our life, there's many times that we run into people who are in situations that are extremely difficult. And how do we be there as the angel to help them through that?
It's quite a thought to think that, you know, not only are there angels out there, but that I can become an angel myself. And that through this light body that you've talked about, I can be there for others and spread light in the world. And as you know, here we are in January contemplating the beginning of the whole year that is going to come, and many people are feeling that it's going to be a very challenging year with a lot of you know, structures and systems that have been in place falling away, and a lot of people getting upset and confused. Give us a sense of what we can do in that moment to not just be calm and steady ourselves, but be a voice of calm for others, be a presence of calm, be an angelic presence for others. How would you approach that?
You know, well, I think the main thing that we have to remember is to go into that presence, you know, into that realm, you know, of being that. What we need to do is we first need to become soul conscious. We need to remember Baba, because that's who the angel is. You know, the angel is the trustee helping God to get his work done. Right. So if we're not in that stage of you know, our own spiritual identity and our connection with the divine, then we won't necessarily we can be helping from a physical standpoint, but we may not be able to reach that spiritual level that allows our energy to touch the soul and help the soul to get back to that space of peace within themselves. So, you know, once we become connected, and then to go into that kind of either tapasya from a distance or
Tapasya being intense meditation.
thank you, the intense meditation, and to send that light of love, that light of peace to those who are needing it. I mean, it's as real can be. And if you think, I think each of us can think back in our life that there was a time that something happened that maybe, you know, all of a sudden we felt an energy that was helping us, you know. So just remembering that the power, you know, lies within. But I feel that, like, if I hadn't had the study and practice of Raj Yoga, I wouldn't have known how to do it. I knew how to comfort people, you know, I knew how to help people at the physical level, but I didn't recognize that you know, that we were able to develop an ability that could help them, you know, at a higher level of consciousness. So it's all a matter of consciousness and and this is why, even to this day, after being in this practice and study for so many years, I feel that I'm learning something every day. And, the spiritual learning is lifelong learning. There's no end to it. There's no end to the depths of the ocean. And the only thing you need to do is to have the courage to dive in and to explore it. And it doesn't matter which religion you come from. You can come from any religion. And if you have that love of God, there's spiritual methodologies that can help you deepen, and learn your practice of how do I do this consciously. Not just like I can remember when I was in the Christian church, I used to pray the rosary, and I would repeat the prayers and repeat the prayers and repeat the prayers, but I had no idea what I was doing really, because I didn't have the knowledge of how spiritual dimension works. And so so I think that
Yeah.
opening your heart and asking to learn more about how do I become your helper, God.
It's a very profound and deep thing to contemplate, and not just becoming a support for a few individuals, but that energy, that light can become a support for the whole world. It's a global support network that this angelic presence is holding together. And we are only able to do that by really maintaining our own practice and our own consciousness, a subtle, refined consciousness that connects us daily to that light and that practice of being in our light body, as you're saying. So I'm going to just see whether there are any questions, Ranjan, with you in the hall. Anyone that would like to just ask Rita a question. There's different aspects of what we've been discussing, this profound sense of angelic work, but also being very grounded in the household. And, for some people that might be an area where they're looking to develop themselves.
Yes, we have a couple of, I think, questions from the audience. Yes.
Om Shanti, thank you for sharing your experiences, Rita.
Shanti.
My question is about the, life in a household, because I do live with my family and my Yugal is also not in Gyan. Although he's a supporter, but he doesn't understand. And most importantly, we got married without knowing each other. It was an arranged marriage. So I was introduced to this Gyan before my marriage. I knew about it and I was very much into it, but I have never shared that with him before marriage. But after marriage, I just could not live without it. Like, I really needed to survive this marriage. So he understood. He comes to center whenever he can and supports. But I haven't even seen him praying or longing for spirituality or God. On the other hand, I cannot survive without this. So now as I'm growing older, I want to go deeper in silence, which, I always love silence and I want to do that even more, which is sending a message to him that I am distancing myself. And he has mentioned that to me many times, that, seems like you were distancing, yourself. And so he has also figured out how to distance himself. So how do you, balance this, like, in your family, if, people should not feel that you are just ignoring them or neglecting them?
Yeah, that's a great question. Great question. So actually, I had that same problem. And that he was just feeling so alone, because I was coming and going and coming and going, and I wasn't going out to restaurants, and I wasn't doing this and wasn't doing that. So I spoke to Didi Mohini about it, actually. And what she said was, you make sure that you spend time just with him every day. You know, be it an hour, a half hour, whatever you can do. You know, that you be in the company. You know, that when you another way is when you eat. You know, to sit at the table with him. You know, and have a nice meal. And you know, not to put your attention on what he's not doing, but put your attention on his strengths and on his, you know, the fact that you have a chance to serve this soul. He's think of him as, you know, someone that you know, that has not awakened yet, but you know, and you're going to be doing your meditations, your tapasya in the house, you know, the household. So when you're doing that, you're creating an atmosphere, you're creating a vibration that goes beyond words. So you let Baba do what he wants to do, because you know he'll know that this soul is with you, and if anything needs to be done, it will happen. And I asked one time, when I asked the question, who was it? It was Didi Nirmala. She said to me, she said, "Your problem is your yoga is not strong enough. You need to do more yoga. You need to get stronger in your yoga." Right? Well, I'm still trying because nothing's changed, you know, but it's true. You know, what you need to do is you need to relax. First of all, you need to relax and not think he should do this, he should do that, because that's just going to make it, you're going to create friction. And you don't want to do that. You want to create a peaceful home, you know, and so that would be my advice, that you spend time, that you stay light. And I have this thing, light as a feather, and bring joy. But you know, to also follow Sriman, and not to break the Sriman. Does that answer your question?
It's a very good
Yes.
question and a very good answer. Yeah.
Thank you, sister.
Yeah. Do you feel that you've conquered attachment that was there for your husband, Rita? Do you feel very detached from him now? And do you feel detached from wanting him to come closer to this meditation practice?
No, what I feel is, first of all, he's a great person. He's got he's very funny. He's got a very good sense of humor. And knowing that my role was to be a householder in this yagya, so that was I was given that role for some reason. I can't think of a better partner that I would have had, you know, because as I said, he's light, he's funny, he's, you know, and he's also very stubborn. He's, you know, you know, and he knows that. And so, and I have no desire for him to be anything other than he chooses to be, because that would put a stress on myself, you know, and that would take me away from being able to serve with the purity of heart. And so I love him just as he is. And just like I love, you know, the children, and I love everybody. I love everybody, you know. So yeah.
Nice.
And the question regarding attachment, I don't know, it's been many, many years that we've lived together. I think if he were to leave the body, of course I would miss him. You know, I would miss him. Um, but I understand the soul's on a journey just like we are.
Mm.
You know, and you can't, like, sometimes I think in Brahmin life, people get so rigid, so rigid. And one of the most important things is to allow yourself to be natural, be yourself, you know, express, you know, the love, the peace, your happiness, you know, as you would naturally do. And, you know, let the rest is in Baba's hands, it's in Drama's hands. It's in his hands.
Thank you, Rita. I
Yeah.
think there was another question in the hall.
Yeah, so my question is, since we are talking about serving with our angelic form, what are the qualities that we should have, we should possess to be able to serve as an angel or in my angelic form?
Yeah. So, you know, in order to be able to serve, as an angel, I think the first requirement is purity. You know, because the angel has no bondage, has, you know, is completely free, liberated in life. So then the only way we become that, you know, is through remembrance of Baba and letting Baba work with us to purify the soul. So as we begin the practice of being the angel, the more you're following Srimad, the more the purifier father is working on you, and the more easily you'll be able to become, you know, the instrument that serves the other. You know, the other qualities, I think the main qualities are the main qualities, you know, that we're all trying to transform. You know, the original innate qualities are the qualities we need to possess. And, you know, the honesty, the truth, not allowing yourself to be one who gets angry, which means that you've developed peace to its maximum. Because in the world that we're living in today, that's a very challenging thing for a lot of people. But quite honestly, when you not just receive this knowledge, but when you use the knowledge to allow you, to help you let go of the past, don't worry about the future. Be in your moment, the moment now at the confluence, when you can let go of everything else and be in that space of developing your original qualities. It's not developing, but it's emerging. You already have them, you know, but that requires, you know, no judgment. Don't judge people for what they are and what they're not. That's, it's got to go. It's got to go. The anger, the resentment, got to let go. Let it go. You know, and with an aim of being able to stay in your own peace, your purity, your peace, your love, your happiness, then you'll see everything will work fine for you.
So just being an embodiment of your original qualities.
Right. That's your natural self. You know, these other qualities are required, you know, as a result of reacting to what's going on around us. But what you want to do is to keep working every morning in your Amrit Lila, emerging those original qualities and claiming your right, you know, claiming your right, you know, to live your life in the expression of those qualities. That's your reality. That's the true you. And, you know, Baba's presence in our life is like the nature cure that he talks about in the Murli. You know, through Man Above, you know, all of that old stuff goes. And you have to also, I mean, if you're not loving to yourself as you're going through the process, and you start badgering yourself, why am I feeling angry about this or that? That's just going to delay the process. So, you know, start with how you're feeling, your inner truth, you know, and how you're really feeling about yourself. You know, and let your specialties shine through. You know, it's really interesting. There's a lot of people who in the world who are booked, what they call them book learn, that they've gone to school and they've got everything by the book. They know exactly how to do everything by the book. But what is really needed in life is to live according to what's in your heart, what's in the soul, you know, and to build your courage to express yourself truly, naturally. And from that, everything will just move along naturally. But that requires trust in God. And once you have that relationship, you and the divine, that you're together. Then you can allow your own personality to flourish, and it becomes your nature.
Thank you.
I think that's such a beautiful question and such a beautiful answer. And it's not one that we hear that often, because what you're saying is, be honest with yourself about who you are. Look into your heart and find the truth of what makes your heart sing, and then be faithful to that, because it's by being you that you will become the best version of you. It's not about becoming anyone else. It's not about becoming something other than you, or having to change yourself to fit other people's expectations of what you should be, because that's not being truthful to yourself. But you're saying the way forward is honesty and truth with yourself, and faith in the one above that will be there to support you in that journey.
Felipe, I don't know if you see on chat that there's another question.
One more question. I saw that. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's take the other question.
Om Shanti, sister. Thanks for really going through so deep and explaining. One more question. I think you already covered, which strike in the mind, where you talk about the being an angel is a natural process. It is not like does not require consciousness, but becoming an angel is a conscious process. So you towards journey towards becoming angel is a conscious, but experiencing the angel state is a natural. So can you touch upon those two areas in a day, because we all are in the process of going towards being angel, but it is two process we do every day. So how you do practice in every day, because there is a process to become angel and there is an experience which is natural. So one is conscious, one is natural.
Yeah.
Interesting question.
So I think that, when we are on a path, and here in the, as you know, in the Brahma Kumaris, where we are learning every day, from the morning studies that we do, and churning and trying to imbibe the knowledge so that we can have that shift, not just a shift in consciousness, but a transformation within the mind, within the soul, within the heart. That's when we begin to build the confidence to enter into the experience of what we're learning. And so it's the combination of effort and naturalness, nature, right? And so, oftentimes Baba will say in the Murulis that he is like he's feeding us like the baby birds, drop by drop by drop. So we may have inklings of it, like what other word can I use? Like a small experience of something, and we may not be able to sustain it and to do it right away. But once we've had a little experience of what it means to be in that, go through that process of transformation, where we let go of the old ways of being, and we move in to that deeper space of reflection and know what we're trying to do, but we're recognizing we may not be able to do it in a second. It's going to take effort. And then the commitment to the effort, I think, is the thing that carries us through.
So making a conscious commitment to the effort,
Yeah,
and then the rest will happen naturally.
right.
It will unfold naturally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Conscious efforts lead to angelic natural experience. Yeah. So it is a slight contradiction in terms, because it's not going to happen by itself. You have to create the conscious thought that you want to experience that, but then you're not going to make it happen by force. You've got to fall into your original qualities and your natural way of being. And it sometimes comes in the morning class that if you just stay with the process, then your boat will go across. There's something about being in the gathering, showing up every day, making the effort. Your boat will go across. You will reach that stage of consciousness. It will happen.
Yeah. And someone on chat was asking about tears.
Yes.
They asked about tears. What about, what was the question?
What's the role of tears?
What is the role of tears in this?
Mm.
Well, you've got to remember that we're healing.
Mm.
We're healing, after having so many lifetimes of so much pain and suffering. And healing, tears are part of that process. It's sort of like letting out the pain, letting out the hurt and the pain. Each situation is different in this transformation. And somehow or another, it has to come out and out. So tears are good, but oftentimes we shed them when we're on our own. Sometimes, I mean, if I see something sad, sometimes I can feel myself well up, and but they're there to help us heal.
It does sometimes come in the mirror. You shouldn't cry.
That's true. That's true. I haven't been able to conquer that one.
No, me neither.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a topic we take up another time.
Yeah.
Some beautiful questions. Thank you so much for all of those. Just a final one which just popped up: the difference between a human being and an angel, according to the Brahma Kumaris worldview. Is there a difference, or is it just a question of where you are on that continuum?
Well, I think the continuum, because the brightness of your light as an angel, it's going to depend on your virtues. How many virtues have I really imbibed? How many powers have I really taken in, been able to use in any point in time? Am I a selfless giver? How much giving am I willing to do? Do I recognize that that's who I am? That I am a bestower? And am I still taking? Or am I a bestower? So there's a lot of variables, that we have to come to understand. But, when we have the selfless giving and positive energy, then, we can act as the benefactor, the one that's helping others to achieve their highest aspiration.
Should I speak?
Beautiful.
We have a nice chart at our center, angels and humans. What is the difference in between those two? And so I think it is the whole thing, but I think we would send it to you, both of you. And we have hanging it.
Here it is.
Ace.
Yes.
Oh, yes. I remember that.
Remember?
Remember that the difference between the
Very
angel,
nice.
yeah, and the human. Yeah.
That's really beautiful. Please do send that on. That's
Yes.
great. Well, it's a lovely little chart to bring up on the eve of our 18th of January, which is the day we remember the first angel. And I really wish everybody a beautiful day tomorrow. It's a day when the veil between here and the angelic region is particularly thin. So, maybe we can take inspiration from Rita's experience and fly with our wings and have a really pure, beautiful, profound, angelic experience. Rita, before we let you go, could you just guide us for a few moments into an angelic experience to carry with us into our day of 18th January tomorrow? Thank you.
So just turning our attention inward. Into that sacred space within. Where I, the soul, the shining star of light, connects with Baba, the divine light. Imagine being surrounded by Baba's light. And with just one thought, allow your light body the body of the angel ascend into this subtle region. No words to be spoken. Just staying in the awareness that I, the soul, in my angelic body, being in the company of the angels of light, seeing the wings of the angel, and knowing that I too have the power, having the wings, I fly. Spreading light the light of peace and love to all souls I am a messenger of God, helping God in his task. So natural and easy. Being the light of love and peace.